What is going on, you guys? End of day 3. Friday is in the books. And for the most part, that's my National 2024 being in the books as I'm leaving midday tomorrow to head back to Houston. I did have some pickups today. I didn't have a lot of money to begin with. I think I had $600 to start the day. And now I have $2, two $1 bills. So, but man, I had fun spending that money. We'll go ahead. I actually have a good amount of stories and some cool stuff to show today. I did pick up some like the autographs type of stuff that I like to pick up, and unfortunately for me, there is a decent amount of hockey, and I'm not going to try to pronounce names today. I don't feel like beating myself up. If I do know how to say their name, I'll say their name. But the ones I did pick up, I know are Hockey Hall of Famers. Picked up a couple Norm Ullman. These were $10 a piece. Player era cards. Just seem really cheap to me, man. Like, these aren't new cards or anything. What is that? That's one's a 72. So I don't know what this other one is, but looks like 71 and 72. I don't know, $20 for the pair. That seems like a heck of a deal to me. And if it's not, I'm happy with it. That's still cool. Gary Cheevers, Brad Park with the Hall of Fame inscription. All of these hockey cards were $10 a piece. So, once again, I don't know, and they're all Hall of Famers. I don't know if that's good or bad, but for player era cards that are in really good condition, I don't know, it just seems like automatic to me. Here's the dude, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but they got these two for $10 a piece as well. Frank Hondo Howard, which was kind of nuts, this was $10. And I probably overpaid for this, but I met Frank Howard, I'd say like 96, 97. I was at the ballpark in Arlington, Texas. I drove up from Houston, and he was a coach at the time, and he was the only person that signed that day. And my uncle was so excited, like, to see him. And he was like, oh, that's Hondo. And I'm like, I don't know what that even means. What is that? And he shook my hand, and it just felt like the biggest hands of all time. Just a big man, just a big guy. And I seen that auto, and it just became very nostalgic for me. I wish it wasn't a manager card, but I'm really happy to pick it up. George Foster, $5. This was $5. No way, shape, form ever are you going to find a George Foster Playing Days card signed for $5. So that was automatic. Tim Raines, this was $10. And then this is kind of like the last 3 autographs from these 2 booths that I got. What did Mike call this? A Burke something. A Burke Ross. I don't remember the year, though. But this is a George Kell signed Burke Ross card. Burke Ross. I apologize. You vintage guys that watch my stuff, I am so sorry if I'm butchering it. But I seen that, and I told Mike, I'm like, this is like $25, dude. I know George Kell signed everything that he's seen for decades, so his autograph itself isn't worth a ton. But that, with this card, just seemed very, very unique. Mike said it was kind of rare-ish, kind of unique to see that stuff. So, got that, and for a really good price. I told Baseball Collector a couple times this week, I think I told Canadian Cards also, I would like to PC Bob Feller. I've heard some just super cool stories about him and his career. And he was in the Navy. And when he was in the Navy, they gave him the rank of Chief Petty Officer, which that's the rank that I retired as. So for me, it kind of seems like a no-brainer. And his stuff's really cheap, from what I've seen. And his autographs on his playing day items are relatively cheap too, because like George Kell, I would say not as much, but Mr. Feller signed everything, man. He was such a fan-friendly guy. But I picked this little Bad Johnson up today. I'm just signed in ballpoint pen, and this was $20. It's raw, but I know Bob Feller's signature, and I was like, whoa, dude, like what a deal, man. Are you kidding me? So couldn't have been happier with that. I'd say between the two tables, this was the deal, and I wish it was on a slightly different card. It is on a Topps, and it is a playing era card. But Pedro Martinez, this card was $25. So I showed Mike. I was like, he was looking at a binder over there, and I was like, Mike, pointing at it, and he was like, oh, Pedro. And you could see when his eyes hit that price, he was like, are you picking that up? I was like, oh yeah, dude. So that was really cool. That was, for me, super cool stack of autographs. I can't wait to get those authenticated and slabbed up. Here's another story. Canadian Cards gave me 2 cards of one Russ Jackson, and I won't be able to tell the story as well as Mike can, but Mike owns a professional football team, and they play at Russ Jackson Field in Canada, and it's named after this guy. Mr. Russ Jackson is like a CFL legend. And so, a little bit back, maybe a month ago or so, Mike was telling me that, Russ Jackson TTMs, and he's up there in age. And I was like, man, like I'd love to get something like, his rookie card signed or something. We're FaceTiming at the time. And I'm like, Mike, I know you're in a bunch of those Canadian, Facebook groups. Could you write in there, does anyone have a Russ Jackson rookie? And so he's like, yeah, no problem. He does it. We keep talking. And he's like, oh, someone just wrote me, man. He's like, oh, they actually have 6. They have 6 Russ Jackson cards, and 2 of them are rookies. And I was like, oh, ask him how much he wants for the whole thing. And so we ask him how much he wants for the whole thing, and we kind of go on with our conversation. Phone call ends. I forget about it. My memory's terrible. So I forget about it. And then it was like a week later. I was like, Mike, did you ever hear back from that guy about what he wanted for the Russ Jacksons? And he just started laughing, like hysterically laughing, like belly laughing. And he's like, what? These Russ Jacksons? And I was like, what the freak, dude? I'm like, I asked like how much those were, and you just bought them? And he was like, yeah, man, they were a great deal. And I'm like, you totally bamboozled me, man. And I wouldn't say I was pissed, but I wasn't happy. And he's just laughing his ass off. And when I got here to Cleveland, he gave those 2 cards to me. He's like, I bought those because you wanted them, and I bought them for you. And so he gave me, there was 2 rookies, and one was off-centered, and one is this one. It's dead centered, man. Oh, peachy. And so he kept the other one, and he gave me this little fella here as well. So super cool. That will be going out TTM when I get back. Next story. I met this guy today. So I've been a big Gary Vee follower for a long, long time. I just like his message, man. His message is hard work, persistence, integrity, chase your dreams, don't chase money. that's like everything I feel like I like to follow, I like to think about, and I like to tell people. And I've really looked up to this dude for a long time, well before he was talking about sports cards. Back when I was watching his content, which I still do, but I would watch his keynotes from business conferences, and it'd be funny because he'd be talking about, someone would ask him a question. I live with my parents, and I'm in college right now, and they're paying for it, and they're telling me if I don't get my grades up by next semester, they're gonna stop paying for college, and it really kind of hurt my feelings. And Gary goes, he's like, first of all, fuck your feelings, dick. And dude, at this conference, and it's just stuff like that all the time, unfiltered, blatant honesty. I feel the world could use some more of that. Everyone wants to sugarcoat stuff or tell white lies so they don't offend people. I tell my wife all the time, like, I don't have a blunt problem. It's like I don't have an honesty problem. It's like you have a problem with the truth. And I'm not talking to my wife. I'm just saying in general. She's like, yeah. She's always like, Gary, you're so blunt. Hey, let's just get it out there, man. We don't need to sugarcoat anything. So I told Gary when I met him, I was like, I've been watching your stuff for a long time. And it was super cool because he stopped what he was doing. And I could tell he was paying attention to me. And I'm like, how you spread the message of don't chase money, chase your dreams. And I'm like, I recently retired. And my wife is a gangster and told me, hey, do what you want to do. You don't need to go get a job right now if you don't want to. If you want to, great. If not, great. And I'm like, man, I've been selling sport cards. I'm like, it hadn't been super lucrative. But I'm like, I'm happier than I've ever been, man. And that dude, he must have dabbed me up, that kind of deal 4 times. Not at least, it was 4 times during that conversation, man. And at the end, he was like, man, I'm so fucking proud of you, man. He's like, no one has the balls to do what you did. And he's like, that's so fucking awesome. Keep doing you. And then he signed those 2 cards for me. And he was like, hey, man. He like kind of leaned over the counter. He's like, hey, you see that kid at the end of my booth? I was like, yeah. He's like, that's my son. Which I felt was kind of significant because Gary is very personal. Like, he doesn't show his wife and doesn't show his kids off on any of his content. He's like, that's my son. Could you just kind of just go look at his showcase? Because he had a showcase, one showcase that was his son's, his cards. And I was like, yeah, man, no problem. So I went over there, and he didn't have very many cards, probably 15 or 20. And there were some nice ones that I couldn't afford. But he did have this one, and I was definitely not in the market for this at all. And I don't know what the pop is on this, but it's some insane number. But he had the 2018 Topps Update Juan Soto rookie, $40. So I was kind of messing with the kid. I was like, hey, is this yours? Is this your showcase? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, it's not his. Because there was a younger guy, probably 25, next to him, helping him price his cards and stuff, and kind of teaching him some stuff. And he's like, no, it's not his, it's mine. And I'm like, well, if it's yours, I'll pay $40 for the Juan Soto. And so it was super cool because it made him smile, and you could tell it made his day. And I don't know, I would have done that really for any kid, not just because it's Gary V's kid, but it was super cool, man, to see a really young kid in the hobby get giddy, overselling a card. I thought that was really nice. Last story, and then I'll show the last purchase. So Tag Grading is here, and they're doing some things, and like them or hate them, I don't know. I'm not a huge tag grading guy at all, 0. But they were doing some customs there. You could give them a photo, and they would put some cracked ice colors and all this, and a lot of people were getting their dogs, like I know Mike Moynihan got a Norman rookie card, which that's the name of his Yorkie. Actually, Norman's not a Yorkie. I forget what breed Norman is, but it's not a Yorkie. And So we had the YouTube meetup last night, which, man, this video is going to go long, dude. We had the YouTube meetup last night, which I didn't shoot any content. I was just living in the moment. And, dude, it was so freaking great. Anyways, let me get back to the story. And I've kind of ran with the same crew, since COVID. And I don't know if we've ever told this story, but Mike Moynihan, Andy, Canadian Cards Mike, Eric, JT. The reason that we're so tight is during COVID and there was nothing to do, we FaceTime literally almost every night. Literally almost every night. Half of us would be quarantined and couldn't do anything. And then the other group would be like, oh, I'm only working 1 day a week or 2 days a week. Or we had so much time, man. And if you remember, the hobby was just at this insane time where you could buy a card and by the time they shipped it to you, it was already went up in value. And, we're all very, very passionate about the hobby. And, you have the misfits in our community, and that's an awesome group of guys. And you kind of have these cliques, and everyone gets along, but you have these cliques. And that's kind of my clique, and we call ourselves the Inner Circle. And sorry, guys, if this pisses you off, and I know none of us has ever told a story in depth like that. So we got a picture last night of the 6 of us, and we've never had that. We've never done that. I wanted to get one at last year's National, and we didn't. And we had one last night after the photo. And tag, I was going to get this made today. It was $40. You give them $40, you give them a photo, and you come back a little bit later, and they will, put it on a card and encase it. Well, I guess JT this morning told Eric kind of my plans, and Eric was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to pay for everybody's. That's 40 times 6, man. That's not cheap. And sure as shit, man, Eric had this made for the 6 of us. And I have a buddy shelf, if you want to call it, I don't know, where I put all those custom cards that I have made. People that give me cards at like the events. Like last night I got a Sammy Thunder card. I shouldn't have said names because there's so many of them I can't remember. But I put them and I lean them up on the shelf, and the shelf's right next to me on the right side when I make every video. It's just cool, man, seeing my buddies. But this is going to be center stage for sure, man. This is awesome. But if you want it, I'll sell it to you for $20. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Last pickup of the day was my first pickup of today, and I've been telling people that I was thinking about getting into presidential autographs. If you know me, I'm an autograph guy. My eBay store is autographs. That's just what I do. And I know presidential autographs are very highly sought after, and I couldn't find any that I really liked at the show. I'm very much of a snob when it comes to not just what is it signed on, how does it look, and the shape of it. And what I mean by the shape of it is I would love my obscure autographs, presidential autographs, stuff like that, to fit in a traditional slab. That way you can store them all together nice and neat. And I came across this booth early this morning, and he had a bunch of cut signatures from The Decision, which that's a product, like Inception, something like that. Flawless. It's a set called Decision. And this was Decision 2022, and it comes out every year during an election year, and they have cuts and all that stuff. And I seen the George W. Bush, and I'm a Texas guy, and he's actually one of my favorite presidents. And I've seen the price. It was $300, and I was like, dude. At the time, I had $600 to start my day, and I was like, I didn't plan on picking up a bigger card to blow half the daily budget, but I'm like, man, for me, this is huge. This is super cool. I love this. Love it, love it, love it. So I was really happy to get that. Real quick, last night's YouTube meetup. Dude, was that not like the largest YouTube meetup of all freaking time? The time of shooting this video, Phil Filmington, Maiko, and Silver Jackify have one tonight. I don't know, obviously, what the turnout's going to be tonight. I'm going to the Dick Perez Diamond King movie premiere, so I may or may not have content from that. I don't know. And I don't know if I'm going to go to Phil's thing, 'cause I don't know how long this thing's going to run. But holy smokes, man. I've been in this community 12 years now, and I'd like to say I know almost everybody. There is no way. Man, I probably knew 20%, 25% of the people in there. And I'd go up to people and introduce myself, and I could tell they didn't know who I was, which, that's fine. And because I watched their stuff, and then people would come up to me and introduce themselves, and I'm like, I have no idea who you are. And I need to fix that. Meaning I need to ingrain myself in the community a little bit more. So cool. I mean, think about it, guys. All of us know each other from what you're watching on right now on YouTube, these videos, man. That's how we all know each other. We watch each other pour out our passions about sports cards. And even the commenters that come to these events and they don't make videos, like, you are just as important as anyone else. Like, everyone is an equal part in this thing. And man, it is a very, very beautiful and unique thing that we have. I can't think of anything that you can compare what the YouTube sports card collecting community, I can't compare it to anything else. Personally, I don't think there's anything else like it. And I think it's a very unique and awesome thing that we're all a part of. So, I don't know if this is going to be my last video for 2024 National. Super cool, dude. So many people. The show floor today was just insane, ridiculous. If you're looking for kind of an obscure card that there isn't a ton of, I don't know how you would find it. It's probably in there. There's probably 3 of them in that convention center. But how you would find it through the sea of people and the sea of people around tables, I have no idea. And that's a bad thing and a good thing. It's a bad thing because you can't, add those important pieces to your collection, but it's a good thing because the hobby's healthy. Insanely healthy, man. So, till next time, adios, be safe, doodles, all that other stuff. And thanks for watching, man. All my stuff through this week. Kind of rambling, man. Just a very special week. Just awesome. Peace out, y'all.